And welcome back to the Commander's Replacement Squad, where today we'll be playing the final game of Season 1, taking on the Dallas Cowboys in division. And they are very much having the opposite season of what we have had. Granted, I will say the second half of our season has been phenomenal. The Dallas Cowboys, though, they've just had a good season. 12-4 at the top. They did lose last week to the Tennessee Titans, and obviously we know the Titans aren't necessarily a great team, at least this year. So there's a shot at us pulling off an upset victory, sending the Dallas Cowboys into the postseason on a bit of a slump. For us, doesn't really matter how this game ends. We're just here to have a good time and finally see Shaka Toney with his superstar badge underneath his player. And let's get this home matchup underway to wrap up our season. Flowers with his first kickoff return as we go down the middle here with broken tackle. Pretty good starting spot at the 29. And for many of these players on our replacement squad roster, this is their final game with us. There are definitely some spots that we're going to improve at when we get to the offseason, which will be next episode. So for them, they might see their starting spot go down to a rotational, perhaps just a solid backup, or maybe even just cut entirely as Kalinick tries to get around the edge here. Will actually be a loss of one. So if there is a particular player you guys do not want to see go, make sure you're letting me know in the comments section. Let me know who your guys' favorite ones are. Those will increase the chance or likelihood that they stay with the team, as Stoner, with the catch, gets us the first. And with that fresh set of downs up to the 42, we'll spread wide a little bit here. We'll go 3 to the right-hand side, 1 to the left. And if I threw that zig a little bit earlier, we might have had something. We'll at least throw it out of the sack. Won't lose any yards. But as we were talking about, commenting and talking about who your favorite players are, like I've mentioned a couple times throughout this series, you could always leave a comment about something that's cropped up with the team. Whether it was some sort of scandal for a player, a scandal with the organization itself, something that we did do that we shouldn't do, that's illegal, and make sure that it also comes with a consequence for doing what we did, so that way we could add a little bit of spice here to the series. Very reminiscent to the first episode and a couple episodes we've had here and there with the breaking news that have cropped up, as Seth Williams has a nice release, nice thrown ball, and we're down inside the 10. I know we've had a lot of people talk about Jack Cone. Jack Cone? I can't remember. Half of our quarterbacks all have a very similar name, as Huntley goes down the middle and falls into the end zone. We will be scoring first in this matchup, divisional rivalry matchup against the Cowboys. But now the moment we have been building towards throughout this entire season. Shaka Toney has officially unlocked his superstar depth on already was getting in the backfield. Still a great throw there from Dak Prescott. But Shaka Toney 100% deserves to have that superstar dev, have his trait finally unlocked, and honestly, probably deserves to be a superstar X Factor come the offseason. Just his consistent ability to disrupt a lot of what offenses do, both in the run and in the passes. There's a sack fumble. No, why did you fall down, Shaka? We do scoop it up by Gemmel, and we'll take over at the 33. And it's just been his ability to do that over and over again. We've seen several times this year where he's got the sack, forced the fumble, scooped it up himself, and has even scored it himself. I'm also fairly positive that there's been at least one game, possibly two, where Shaka Toney has scored more points than our entire offense. So it just goes to show how much of an influence he's had on this team, as we're going to go with Kalinick, not Kalinick, that's actually Muse, one of the other tight ends. He'll get us down to the 16. Yeah, definitely his ability cannot be understated on this team. We just need to find some guys like that on the offense and more guys like that on our defense. As we hand this one off down the middle, a nice push down the middle by Borghi. And on 2nd and 3 inside the 10. We'll bring Cone back out here. How about throw it off the way to the other side, and there is Jones with a touchdown grab. He's had some very inconsistent play the latter part of this season, dropping some very well thrown balls. He's been getting some touchdowns when we need it. But right now the Cowboys have to be wondering what's happening. They're down 14-0 to a replacement squad team. Meanwhile, they're supposed to be top of our division, if not top of the NFC. And I know at least a couple weeks ago in the series, they were at the top. They were 12-2, I believe, 12-3 perhaps, and they've really struggled to close this season out. Don't know if that has to do with the progressive fatigue that hits players later on into the season. I don't know if that really affects much of the sim games, as Shaka Toney, oh, he bit on the play action there. They will find Dalton Schultz with the first down. You just saw Shaka try to be a little bit more disciplined there, sit on it to see if they hand it off to Zeke, but so far Zeke has not gotten the ball today. It's been all pass, and it continues to be passes. That ball gets knocked out, scooped up by Yeast, who won't be able to return it much. Maybe a yard, if that. But a huge hit across the middle forced it out. I believe T.Y. Hilton was the recipient. Now Madden didn't want to show the replay, so we'll do it ourselves. Pass across the middle, and then big hit by Gemmel. Pops the ball free. So far, we've had a touchdown drive, a turnover, a touchdown, a turnover. So if we keep things going as they have been, this should be another touchdown drive, knock on wood. But we won't be scoring a third touchdown in the first quarter. That last play sends us on through to start the second. As we try to find somewhere deep, no, and try to check that down. It ends up popping off the back of one of our linemen, I believe. And on 3rd and inches, we'll send out the big boys. 3 tight end group, including 1 at fullback. Huntley checks into running back, and down the middle we go, powering through. Van Der Esch not there in time. And now sitting just shy of midfield, about at the 49.5-yard line. We'll bring Tyree Jackson out here for a little bit of some read option play. And we'll go ahead and keep it, try to get the outside, which we do, but can we get by the corner? No, we can't. So it stays 10 yards to get the first. 2nd and 10. We switch up the formation a little bit. Cone checks back in. Borgie with some room to run. We'll get about 3. And on 3rd and 7, looks like they're coming out with a double A gap look. We're going to try to set up a Calais halfback screen. They do back out of it. We'll not get the pass off in time. We'll be counted as a sack, and we'll punt away. And that will be the first drive for us on offense that does not end in a touchdown. We're going to make an audible here because I didn't like the way that I had the safety covering the tight end on the opposite side of the field. Not that the corner ended up covering him any better. But yeah, first drive on offense didn't end with a score. We'll see if the defense can force another turnover here to end another drive, as there's a sack right down the middle. Credit that to Allen. We sent the double A gap blitz, and they did not have enough of anyone to block, whether it was offensive linemen, tight ends, running backs, fullbacks, even receivers. Not enough. They will go with a throw to the outside, but Lamb runs out of bounds rather than getting the first. Now they'll have to punt. And following a terrific return by Dimitri Flowers, we're already past midfield, up to the 47. But we'll continue on for our 4th drive. I believe a broken tackle there for Borgie. We'll get 9, actually 8. And with it being a short down and distance here, try to see if we can find Williams over the top. They only have 1 deep safety. Do we have enough time? Not really going to try to roll out. Not much opening up. Toss this one away. Avoid the sack. And Cone came up a little limpy on that last play. So we're going to bring out Tyree Jackson here. Not going to run the read option. Just a strict handoff down the middle with Borgie to squeeze out the first down. And we'll keep Tyree out there for a couple more plays here to run some read options. Do we go down the middle? No, we keep it. We have some lead blockers. Can Kyrie get the end? Which he does. Juke in? No. Solid tackle, but a first down. And I feel like I said Kyrie on the last play instead of Tyree. I feel like I was midway through saying Jackson and started with his first. I don't know. It was a weird situation. Just ignore it entirely. 1st and 10, we're going to motion over Muse. Everyone's going to flood one side of the field, but Muse, can he leak over that pass? Just off the mark. Jackson doesn't throw all too often, and when he does, it's pretty much the same play over and over again. So not quite used to it yet. We will keep it again with plenty of room to the outside. Can he get that juke? No. Diggs does a good job securing the outside, keeping us in. And following the 2-minute warning, Cone back out there to help us out here on 3rd and 5. Have a couple guys going deep, couple underneath. Not much opening up. That pass gonna get intercepted. Vander Esch. Just the right place, right time. Pass underthrown, and it'll be a turnover. You can possibly credit a little bit of a hit from the one of the defensive linemen for the reason that that pass came up a little short, but either way, it's a turnover. And that time Lamb actually gets the first down. Rather than running out of bounds, they go to Schultz here, who will get another first down. Cowboys moving a little bit here with about a minute and a half left before halftime. Make it audible here, try to send a bit of a blitz. Didn't quite switch to it in time, but I don't know what Dak was doing there. However, that is also the first incompletion for Dak on the day. So whatever we did, I'm happy with it. It worked. Shaka Toney on the edge, trying to get around, but just couldn't quite get around in time. They will find Gallup across the middle, gain of 6, and calling a timeout. And they'll be going with another pass here, trying to set up the halfback screen. We're in pursuit, and a great tackle there by Allen, and Potoe will bring up 4th and 4 at about midfield. I would expect them to punt. And indeed they do, leaving 14 seconds left on the clock. We're going to bring out Luton here just because he has a stronger arm and some better accuracies than Tyree, who has the next best, as Stoner over the top. No, picked off. Just a little underthrown as they're trying to set up a return. They have the outside. Can we force them out? Yes, we do. 2 seconds left. Should be sending out the field goal team. So really not a great play there from Luton. Doesn't have a lot of options to get on the field anymore, and if he's going to keep throwing passes like that when he does get the chance, probably won't be on the team next year. But that does send us on into halftime, where we have a lead 14-3. And on top of that, we also are leading in the rushing department. 70 yards for us, only 1 for them. Both teams 2 takeaways, so we're looking pretty good there. Just need to clean things up a little bit the second half. But let's take a look at a couple other games. Another rivalry here, 7-7 with the Giants, currently tied with the Eagles. Eagles 9-7 on the year, Giants 7-9. Moving on to the second game update, Bills and Patriots. Is that a rivalry game? I feel like it should be. Battle of the Red, White, and Blues, as the Patriots 12-4 are currently up 20-3 against the 7-9 Bills. For the last bit of the studio update, Buccaneers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Buccaneers up 7-3, another 9-7 team taking on a 6-10 team. But let's get back to the game that matters the most. Really good job for our kick coverage team on the kickoff for the second half, stopping them at the 22 as we try to clean things up the second half, and we were close to a big play there. Instead, it'll be a big play for the Cowboys. They definitely played a very hit or miss style of game the first half, missing out on a couple different opportunities, and there's a sack for Shaka Toney. No idea if that was going to actually be a run or a pass play. Shaka didn't care. He got the sack anyway. And you just can't let him get off the edge untouched. He has too much speed, too much finesse to really allow that whatsoever. They go with Dalton Schultz, who somehow shakes Gemmel and will turn up and make it a 3rd and manageable. And I still don't know if they've actually ran the ball even once today with Zeke. On a 3rd and 4, I would imagine that they might, but instead, Dalton Schultz on the quick little flat route will convert for him. And with that conversion, they have a first down inside the 40. And there's finally a run from Zeke. We'll get forward, short gain, and I was incorrect. He had 1 rush in the first half. So that brings his grand total up to 2 on the day. Makes sense why they released him in real life if they're not going to use him. Be 2nd and 5 here. Have a couple different open options and finding the soft spot in the coverage. That's Gallup with another first. And obviously we've talked about several times this season, the cornerback group is not great. We'll see some improvement hopefully when we get to the off season. So far today, they're allowing 10 yards per reception. So a first down every throw. At least you would say on average. There are definitely downs where it's more than 10 yards to gain, but for the most part, that's not the case. They go with a jet sweep to the outside. T.Y. trying to get out there and will break the tackle, but won't break the second. J.R. Reed cleans it up. The Cowboys looking to make this a 1-score game here, down at the 5. Currently down 14-3. haven't been able to get any real points on the board besides that. Great play there from Dak Prescott, just waiting, buying time, and eventually he's gonna find someone, and that's T.Y. Hilton. And it looks like on top of that, they're trying to make it a field goal game here, make it 14-11 with a 2-point conversion. This time they will not hand it off to Zeke, bit on that very hard. Flood one side of the field, Dak Prescott gonna scramble, throw late, and they do make it a field goal game, finding Ferguson. It is 14-11. All right, Commanders, it's time to buckle down here and wrap the regular season off with a big win. Just need to clean some things up as Borghi finds some space down the middle. Surprisingly, just a gain of 2. Felt like it was going to be more, but good job from the defense. We'll make it 2nd and 8, sticking out that same formation. Still handing the ball off to Borghi, who finds the gap. We'll get another 3. And on 3rd and 5, we'll spread wide here. Trips out to the left, 1 to the right. Calais checks in at running back. He's going to get the snap. Not much blocking there. Only a gain of 1. So, of course, we end up punting. And that leaves the defense really to try to keep this game in control, to manage it as best as possible. We've slowly allowed the Cowboys to come back into it. Really need to hold on to our 3-point lead. And a great way to do that would be some more sacks by Shaka Toney. So we're going to try that here, and he has a clear path, but Dak throws it just in time. 1st down to T.Y. And I really feel like Hilton has been the #1 target so far for the Dallas Cowboys today. They have a lot of different options, and Shaka Toney has his own option, which is just take the hit. He's coming for you no matter what. Pretty sure that was his 3rd sack of the day. I don't know how he doesn't go up to a superstar X Factor come the offseason. He might be a rookie, I'm not sure. So if he could win Rookie of the Year, that would be huge, as they're going to find T.Y. yet again for a 1st down. And that is just exactly why corner is going to be a big need come the offseason. We'll see what's in the draft, but I have a feeling it'll most likely be free agent moves. But we start the 4th quarter, up 3 points. They come out empty set, so you know we're sending Shaka clean off the edge. He'll hit Dak once again. No matter how many times we've hit him, he's still throwing extremely accurate passes. Only 1 incompletion on the entire day today. And like I said in the previous drive for them, most of these catches are for a 1st down, pretty much every time. Shaka Toney definitely got manned up on that play though. That throw, not a 1st down, 3rd and inches. So we're gonna bring everyone down to the line here. I would imagine they would hand it off, which they do-ish. Read option. That ball pops out. That's going to be what the 3rd fumble is. J.R. Reed trips on Prescott. But it doesn't matter. We take control of the ball. That is what matters. But who forced that? That was Yeast, the free safety, with the hit scooped up by the strong safety. All right, line, let's go to work here. It's chew clock time for sure. We just want to ground and pound and end this season beating a rival that's on the top. So we'll check Huntley in. He is our power back. He's a little bit on the slower side. We'll see if we find an upgrade in that role come the off season, but he's played honestly pretty well for us this entire season. Most of the running backs, in fact, have. Borghi, we know we're keeping him around. Maybe the backups, we try to find someone else, but honestly, they've all played really well. But I think for some of that, you have to credit this offensive line. They have been very good in the running game. Passing has been something else entirely, but the run game, they've honestly looked just as good as any other team. And as we continue to march down the field here, down to the 33, under 4.5 minutes left, we're gonna bring out Tyree Jackson for a little bit of some read option, as a great job there by both the DT and the end in Parsons. Loss of 1. No one was breaking open there, and with time expiring here on the play clock, let's go a little bit of some play action. Gonna have to roll out, throw this one out late, and that's another overthrow for Tyree Jackson. So on 3rd and 11, we're really sitting in a 4-down territory. So we're gonna hand it off to Borghi. We'll see what he can get us here on 3rd down, and it's close to a 1st, 2 yards shy. So we'll set up 4th and 2. Obviously, we're going for it. And we'll come out with a weak eye. Gonna hit that left-hand side of the line with some really good blocking. We'll cut back. That's a 1st down gain, keeping this thing going. Now sitting under 2.5 minutes, getting close to the 2-minute warning. Huntley checks back in, and he won't get stood up. He will still find a way to get a yard. And that will send us on into the 2-minute warning. Regular season is almost a wrap. Just once again want to end up on top, so knock on wood. As there's 2 minutes left on the clock, we have a 3-point lead and we're chewing the clock as much as we can. Huntley just refusing to go down, trying to put together as many yards as he can, forcing the Cowboys to call their timeouts. And on 3rd and 5, still again, 4-down territory. We'll send out Jackson. Again, going to try that read option. We'll hand this one off this time, and Borghi down the middle converts. Keep this thing going. 1 timeout remains for the Cowboys. Huntley checks back in to help just ground and pound, and we'll do that. Gain of 3. Last timeout called. We can pretty much kneel it out from here. And I feel like that's basically what we are going to do. We'll kneel down a couple plays, drain this clock as much as we can. I think there'll still be a little bit of time left, so maybe on 4th down we go for it, or maybe we kick the field goal. I don't know, we have a couple different options here, but basically we're just trying to take as much time off this clock as possible. And I think we will go ahead and kneel this one here. Go for one last play to basically ice it. If we get the touchdown, we're good. If not, we might have a little bit of drama at the end. 4th and goal, 10 seconds left. I'm looking for Stoner to that back corner. He's been really good for us down here. We'll give him one more shot, and he drops it. The hit knocks it free. 22 seconds left. What can the Cowboys do? We can pretty much come out here, sit in deep coverage, protect the outside. They don't have any timeouts, so they're going to need some really big plays. And a 3-yard catch for Zeke is not the answer. They will have to go to the end zone here. That's their only option, and they don't. They go for Zeke once again. Should as well just lined him up at center and tried that weird play one more time, but no. The Cowboys dropped their final 2 games of the season, losing their final one of the regular season. They will be headed to the postseason, but they lose their final regular season game to our replacement squad Commanders. And despite there being not a lot of points, there were still a lot of big plays in this game. Shaka Toney, I believe, had 3 sacks, maybe more. We forced 3 turnovers. We were just able to convert when we needed to. Obviously missed out on that last Stoner touchdown, but it doesn't matter. Job is complete. And with that victory, we officially end Season 1 of the Commanders Replacement Squad series. And honestly, we did pretty well. We finished just a game behind the New York Giants. They finished 11-10. We finished 6-11. So by no means were we the worst team in the NFL. In fact, the worst team was the Seattle Seahawks, who went 1-16. Dolphins were worse than us, 3-14. The Bears worse than us, 4-13, as well as the Steelers with the same record. The Texans worse than us, 5-12, and the Falcons have the same record as us, 6-11. I feel like we maybe beat them earlier, which is why we have the breaker basically above them. We finished as the 26th worst team with the same record as the Detroit Lions. Maybe they beat us early. Actually, yeah, I know they beat us earlier in the season. So honestly, we played pretty well for being a replacement squad team with a 63 overall. And we will wrap out this season taking a look at the stats. 32nd in offensive yards, 1st in defensive yards. Take that as a grain of salt though, because we don't play 15-minute quarters. The sim stats for the other teams, they do. But let's take a look at the individual player stats. Jake Cohn definitely was voted pretty much to be our starting quarterback, and he definitely had a majority of the reps. 12 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, completed 54% of his throws, had about 1,200 passing yards. Luton, who had the starting spot for a couple games, his stats not very good. Tyree Jackson, as a strict quarterback, not very good either. In the rushing department, Max Borghi ends up going for over 1,000 yards. Only 2 touchdowns, though. I would love to see that number increase, but pretty much he would carry us down the field, and by the time we got down to the goal line, which is where we scored a lot of our rushing touchdowns, they ended up going to Caleb Huntley. He had 7 of them and averaged 3.9 yards a carry, so not bad. Definitely need to go back to Borghi, though. He averaged 5.1 yards a carry. He was for sure the leader of the offense. I wouldn't put him at the same level as Shaka Toney of the defense, but still, he played very well. Tyree Jackson we brought in, I would say maybe about halfway through the season. He had 206 rushing yards, averaged 5 yards a carry, had a touchdown, but did fumble the ball 3 times. Cone fumbled 4 times, had similar average, same amount of touchdowns, just far less attempts. Avery Williams had a rushing touchdown, and I believe he was the last one to do so. In the receiving game, Dylan Stoner led us in yards. It was pretty close between him and Stone Smart, who really was utilized a lot down the seam. But Stoner ends with 7 touchdowns. Again, very similar with Stone Smart, and in fact tied. Both of them had 7, so those two were definitely our number one kind of targets on most plays. Nick Muse, surprisingly, being our third. I feel like he kind of got subbed out a lot with Smart, but still a lot of progress there. 1 touchdown for him. Seth Williams with 3. There was at one point of the season in the Cowboys game earlier in the year that we thought he might become our number 1 receiver. He was listed at that spot, but he wasn't very consistent. And then just a handful of other guys down the line had some touchdowns. Tim Jones had 3, not a whole lot of receptions or yards though. Blocking up front honestly was pretty good, like I was mentioning in the running game. Pass blocking wasn't great. We've given up a lot of sacks just spread out amongst a lot of different guys. So it's not the same as just comparing it to 5 guys who played the full season and seeing that they averaged about a sack a game or close to. On defense, we were led in tackles by Marcus Allen, who has half of what I feel like a lot of middle linebackers typically have. We just had a lot of different guys getting back there. Shaka Toney was our second best tackler. In terms of tackles for a loss, that does go to Tanner Muse with 8. But once again, Shaka Toney in second. And honestly, so close to breaking a record, or at least tying it, I think was 3 sacks away. Shaka Toney had 19.5 sacks with a steep drop off to our number 2, Benito Jones, who I always messed up his name and called him Betonio Jones. My bad. But he had 4 sacks. Allen had 2. Belial had 2. Potaway had 2. I feel like he was really good for us. Just didn't accumulate a lot of stats. McCall also had 2, with 1 going to Stevens and Yeast, and then half of 1 for Aneni. So that other edge spot really needs to be addressed. In terms of interceptions, we don't have a leader. We just have a lot of guys with 1. Yeast, Muse, Gemmel, Williams, Reed, Brown, and Josh Jobe. And Shaka Toney leading in another stat here with forced fumbles, having 5. Gemmel forced 3, 2 for Yeast, and then 1 for Muse, Allen, and Belial. So we've actually forced 13 fumbles. Shaka Toney tied for first with fumble recoveries. He had 2 again for Yeast and Belial, and then 1 for Gemmel, Reed, Stevens, Aneni, Parker, and Strobridge. And we recovered 12 fumbles, so really close. I think that was just 1, if I remember the numbers correctly, just 1 that we didn't recover. And we had 3 players with a defensive touchdown, Shaka Toney with 1, Osmar Belial with 1, and J.R. Reed with another. Kicking wise, not an awful year for Austin McGinnis, 18 of 12 on field goals, with these longest being 55 yards, and then extra points, 34 of 37. You would like to see that be 100, but you're going to miss some. Punting wise, Maggio I don't think was great, only 37.6 yards a punt. Feel like we could get better than that. And despite only going 6-11, Shane Falco also got his contract extended, so that's great. But that will officially end season 1. Make sure you guys are subscribing. If you're watching on your phone, just tap my bear icon in the bottom right, or if you're watching on computer, scroll down and tap the subscription button. But also make sure, no matter what you're on, hit the bell icon so that way you're notified of when these videos go live. This series posted twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. My state-only challenge, also a Madden franchise, posted on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So 4 videos a week, 2 series. Make sure you guys stick around so you don't miss the next episode of this series, which will be the entire off season. As we talked about earlier in the episode, leave your comments on players you want to see stay with the team or players you want to see join the team. They have to be a 70 overall or lower. So head down to the comment section, leave that information, and until next time, we'll see you guys later. Bye.